The other day, UPS dropped off a suitcase at my place. Man, do you know how that makes me feel? Now, let me show you how it made me feel.
Mr. Tan, your past video review of the Lyngdorf 3400 has captured the attention of the company Lyngdorf. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to review the latest Lyngdorf 1120. If you or any of your team give this unit a negative review, Lyngdorf will deny any involvement in this review. Good luck, Thomas. This unit will not self-destruct. I repeat, it will not self-destruct because we want the unit back.
Forgive me guys, I had to have fun, a bit of fun with it. Now today I'm going to talk about the Lyngdorf TDAI 1120 all-in-one integrated amp. Now what sets this amp apart from every other amp I've tried is that it comes with a room correction software called Room Perfect. Now I have to say I was quite surprised when I calibrated this unit for my room. Now some of you might be wondering, how does Room Perfect compare to other room correction solutions on the market? I don't know, because I've never compared to other solutions. And Lyngdorf claims their solution is different than others. For example, they measure the power response in the room instead of the frequency response. Now, what I do know is that it is good enough for Macintosh to use this technology in some of their products. For example, the MEN 220, that unit is $4,000. So for this 2,000-ish USD Lyngdorf 1120 to have the same technology built in makes it a really good value. Now, why should you care about room correction? 50% of your system performance is due to your room. Today's video is not an in-depth review, but rather an introduction, because I only had the unit for 2 weeks and I let 4 of my audiophiles friends try it too. So I didn't spend a lot of time with this unit. Still, I have a lot to tell you, so let's talk about it. For those who are not familiar with this Danish company that has been around for decades, I will include a link to their website in the description. Fun fact, did you know that Peter Lyngdorf founded DALI and at one point owned Snail Acoustics and NAD Electronics? Yeah, NAD. The company definitely has a rich history, and I find it strange that it is not really well known here in Canada. Well, at least after today's video, more people will discover this brand. And as you know, I love discovering gems out there and talk about gear that are less well known. The Lyngdorf 1120 is their entry-level model all-in-one integrated amp. It weighs only 3 kilograms and is quite compact, perfect for sneaking it into the house. And unlike the recently reviewed Burson Timekeeper 3i, where you have to keep it in a well-ventilated area due to heat, you can hide this 1120 from your significant other easily in a shelf. The reason why it does not generate a lot of heat is because it uses a digital amp, not a Class D amp, but a digital amp that outputs 61 into 8 ohm. The unit has everything, okay? Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, network, internet radio, Spotify, room ready, Chromecast built-in, DLNA support, AirPlay 2, USB local file playback, and even HDMI out. Did you know digital amp don't need DAC? When I asked Lyngdorf whether it was Class D and if it had a built-in DAC, this is what they said. The 1120 is a digital amplifier, not specifically a Class D, as the amp design is specific in sending the signal in pure digital format all the way to the speaker output where the DAC transition takes place. I was like, what? Sounds like Chinese to me, man. Now you guys go read up on it yourself. Now the only thing that's missing is that it does not have USB in for connecting it to your computer. And finally, it has room optimization software called Room Perfect that I mentioned before. Now regarding how it sounds, this is where it's a bit complicated because it depends on the preset I choose. There are over 10 plus presets, and if I choose neutral preset, the top end is airy and revealing. I will hear every single detail. Yet it is not edgy, and has a certain grace and refinement that you will not find in budget amps. Overall, a neutral sounding amp with slight recess, clear mid-range, and bass that is focused on speed and nuances. The overall presentation is on the leaner side, so speaker matching is important. In short, the sound leans closer to the Class D sound than Class AB sound. Lots of clarity with good instrument separation, decent dynamics, and a good 3D soundstage. Now, the reason I say it leans closer towards Class D sound is because when I A/B tested against my Peachtree hybrid tube solid-state integrated AB amp, I noticed it had a thicker and slightly more forward mid-range. And I'll come back to that later on. So for this unit, I had 4 of my audiophile friends help me evaluate it. Mr. Vintage, I call him that because he only plays with vintage gear these days. Mr. Jazz, he currently owns a pair of Spendor D9.2 and B&W 804 D3. Mr. Kanta, who now owns a pair of Focal Sopra 2, and Mr. Quad, who owns a pair of Quad 2905. Now, one of the tough decisions I had to make is whether I should spend a lot of time with this amp myself only, or have my friends test it out too and share their feedback. You see, I was told that I was only able to keep it for 2 weeks. For that reason, this is not a review because I did not test out everything. For example, Room Perfect with dual subwoofers. I did not test it. And you can imagine the rush I had to put all my friends through to get this video done. Usually it takes me 3 months, right? Also, you know what? Also, I'll take this opportunity to let you know, after 3 years, I finally decided to start a Patreon account. Now, your support helps me, for example, pay for the gas to bring this unit around. To make this video, I am not getting paid, nor am I keeping the amp for free. So that's why it actually costs me money sometimes to make a video. Now, before I talk about what is great about this amp, let's start with what you should be aware of first. Number 1, the amp did not work well with Mr. Quad 2905 electrostatic speakers. Sure, Mr. Quad said it sounded okay, but it lacks dynamics. Now, this got me thinking, for amps that does not have linear power supply, I noticed with the Quad speakers, you need high power amp. The only amp that works well with this 2905 that does not use a linear power supply was the 280 watt purified Class D amp that I own. It's too bad I did not get a chance to test this Lyngdorf on the Manapan LRS due to time constraint. See, that's my torture test. Number 2, the unit is rated at 60 watt, enough to drive 3 speakers I tried. I do, however, wish it had just a bit more muscle and heft. Third, there's no remote because you control the unit with your cell phone. You can get a remote, but it's going to cost you $100. Fourth, finally, as I mentioned, it does remind me of the Class D sound, and overall, it has more of that lean neutral presentation. Okay, the amp is more about accuracy, precision, and detail rather than that color, euphonic, emotional, warm, cuddly presentation that you find in some tube amps. Okay, you see, some systems I listen to, there are plenty of emotions, but it's artificial. Think about it. There's no way every artist I listen to are amazing at conveying emotions. In theory, it should only be the most talented ones that can do it. In that sense, this amp is, quote unquote, more honest to the source. You'll be able to distinguish easier which artist is really, really good at conveying emotions, because when I spend time with the Lyngdorf, I remember telling myself, wow, no wonder that artist was really popular. She does not have the looks, but man, could she sing. Fifth, the unit is quite sophisticated, so you need to read the 50-page manual. It took me a while to figure out how to stream to it from with Tidal and Chromecast. Once you do, sure, even a monkey can do it, but it took me some time to figure it out. So for those of you who are not tech savvy, make sure to include in your budget your bribe to your kids to help you out if you want to maximize the potential of this unit. So let's move on to the positives. First, the unit comes with different presets and it does change the sound a lot. Now remember I said the amp is quite revealing on the top end? Well, choose preset music and it softens the top end just enough that it becomes more musical. You want a fuller bass? Choose preset bass 2, and it fattens the bass and adds warmth to the overall presentation. I would guess these presets are equalization curves. Once you choose the preset, you can further adjust with tone control. Interestingly, Mr. Kanta and I like music and bass 2 preset that we didn't tell each other. We only found out later when we compare notes. Perhaps we have similar tastes. Second, you can use it with all kinds of streaming services. I love the fact I can even cast from YouTube, from any of my PC, or Tidal from my phone. A tip for those who never use Chromecast, you have to add the Lyngdorf as a device in your Google Home app on your phone. That took me an afternoon to figure out because I was too lazy to read the manual. For those of you who are just looking for a DAC streamer, it has a pre-out, so you can actually just connect it to your system and use this as a DAC streamer / room correction device. Now, you cannot use it just as a streamer because it does not have digital out. Third, it has room correction software, and fourth, finally, it sounds good. Now, remember I said it has a decent airy 3D soundstage? I remember when I paired it with the QAcoustics Concept 500, which is really good at soundstage, I noticed it brings out the soundstage strength of the Concept 500. So, let's talk about what I really think about the Lyngdorf 1120. Okay, so due to time constraint, only I got a chance to try Room Perfect. Mr. Jazz has some experience with Room Perfect before because he had the top-of-the-line Lyngdorf 3400. For him, it improved the sound quality by about 10 to 20%, mostly in the soundstage. Now, my experience was different because it was not the soundstage that I found different, but it was the bass. You see, a long time ago, before I treated my room, with my AV Pioneer receiver, whenever I run room calibration software with my 5.1 home theater system, it tends to lower my bass. I hated it because I wanted boom, boom, boom in my home theater. But now that I'm into 2-channel stereo, I get it. You don't want one note boomy, overpowering bass, but you want a good balance between detail and output in the bass. So with my past experience, I was expecting Lyngdorf's Room Perfect to do the same. However, my room is fully treated now, and I have some really good bass trap. So it surprised me, after running Room Perfect setup, the bass output actually went up instead of down. I guess my room can handle a lot more bass without losing detail, and with the bump up in the bass, I noticed it add a bit more warmth. Mid-range is pushed forward, so it sounded a bit fuller. Treble softened a bit, so it sounded more musical. Originally, I was expecting to have only minor changes because my room is already treated, but now, yeah, I cannot listen without Room Perfect engaged. It now sounds warmer, and I prefer that. Now, remember I mentioned earlier that I found my Peachtree Class AB have a fuller mid-range? I'm not so sure now the difference is that big anymore after calibration. Now, I was not able to A/B test it again due to time constraint, and I was also very curious how it sounded with the Concept 500 after calibration because I only calibrated with my Silverline Sonata. Now, originally with the Concept 500 without Room Perfect, I felt the bass could use a bit of help, but sadly I did not try with the Concept 500 again due to time. However, my point is, I was really surprised how big of a difference room calibration can make, especially when I have a treated room. Now, what I really wish, is to bring this unit over to my friend's place that have no room treatment and try it there. Yeah, perhaps in the future when I can get another unit off Lyngdorf, or who knows, maybe I should just buy a unit and try it. Now, for those who enjoy this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe. So, let's wrap it up. Besides Mr. Quad, everyone else was impressed with the unit. Now, Mr. Jazz actually bought one right away. He felt that it was close enough to his top-of-the-line Lyngdorf 3400 that cost like 10 grand and that he owned before. But this one is way cheaper. Now, Mr. Kanta was really surprised how well it paired with his Sopra 2, despite only having 60 watt. As I mentioned, Sopra 2 bass is strong and fat. The Lyngdorf balances it out really nice. So for you Sopra 2 owners who are dealing with bass issue in your room, go check out their 3400 model. By the way, I also noticed the same when I paired it with the Fluance XL8F speaker. Now that speaker is bass heavy and it balanced really well with this Lyngdorf. So who is this unit for? People who love, respect, or fear their significant other so they can't treat their room, like me. People who have to keep their speakers close to the wall, resulting in bass overload. People who want an elegant lifestyle and compact solution. People who want to experience high-end audio sound at an affordable price. People who like to customize and fine-tune their system. People who want to integrate their dual subwoofer with their system perfectly, because the Room Perfect software will help you with that. People who are searching for clarity, speed, precision, dynamics, dark background, and a good soundstage. If you are shopping for a 2000-ish USD all-in-one integrated amp solution, definitely worth dropping by your nearest dealer to check it out. And I think that's about it then. So I'll see you guys next time.